Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am apparently a scratchy voiced Cari Cruz here with you on a Tuesday edition of LBL with DLC. I don't know, but I like LBL. Isn't LBL good? Lunch Break Live? Anyway, welcome. I'm really glad that you guys are here joining me again. I really enjoy this. This is the highlight of my day, getting to spend a little bit of time with you guys, throwing ideas around and learning that I'm not alone. And I think really that's what this journey of recovery is all about. It's that sense of belonging that so many of us lacked for so long. You know, that sense, that belief or that feeling that no one understood us, there was something wrong with us, we were weird outcasts, and we're unworthy. So I think that this program helps us all create a foundation of feeling worthy and understood and belonging, don't you? And I think that's really, really super important. So, yay, you made it. Well, let me look at this real quick. Let me put my glasses on and see who's here, because I'm super excited before I launch into this, do a little chatting. Hi, Mama. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad you're okay, because I was thinking about you, saying, I haven't heard or seen from my mom this morning. Hope she's okay. So I'm glad to know that you're okay. And Nancy, welcome. And Bonnie, yay, you made it. And Joni, and let's see, the LBL I can't do CDLC because there's like too many letters. I was like, LBL with DLC. I go by DLC a lot, so it might, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, you know what, credit to Christy Gutierrez for that. She's the one that came up with the whole LBL thing. So, let's see, Kelly, Bama girl, glad you're here and glad you're okay, because I saw that wild weather, and I don't know if you're in Bama, but oh my God, that was crazy. And I just hope you were not in a mobile home, because apparently mobile home and tornado do not go well together. So glad you're okay. Blanca, ay, gracias, mi amiga buena. Gracias por decirme que me miro bonita, hermosa. Gracias. So let's see here. And who else is here? Looks like I have some new viewers. Maxie. Hey, Margie. How are you? You're from Orange Coast Memorial too? Wow, how nice. You're like right in my backyard. You're my home. That's my stomping ground. That's my home over there. I am really glad that you were able to join me today. So, listen, I don't know if you guys were able to read on my wall today, but I had a discussion a little bit further about the idea of acceptance, which we talked about at great length yesterday. And one of the sticking points, I'm going to call it an area of resistance from a viewer, was in regards to the idea of dreams and the idea of accepting the fact that sometimes dreams die. And, it might have been perceived that I was saying, I think you should kill dreams, which is, nothing could be further from the truth. Absolutely not. Sometimes we just have to accept the fact that dreams may not come true. Some of our dreams may not, no matter what we do, either because it's impossible, they're implausible, or, the time has passed where it might have been practical. So I wrote something about it. So if you're interested in learning more and digging deeper, feel free to check out my wall where I talk about, maybe clarify what it was that I could have said better. And maybe hopefully this time I did. So with that said, today's show on a Tuesday, tormented by obesity. Okay? Now, I think it's really fair to say that obesity, when people talk about obesity, they're thinking of physical condition, right? The physical condition of obesity, like in particular size and weight. And that is how obesity is often defined and thought of by people, is you're defined by your size and your weight. And the extent of your obesity is directly correlative to your size and your weight. So the more obese you are, the bigger you are, the more obese you are. And that's how it's always characterized or classified or quantified, I guess, or qualified, I guess you could say, all right? So, but when people begin to think about it more as a disease instead of a condition, they might extend their description a little bit like this. They might include comorbidities, okay? And we're talking about like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart problems, diabetes, back and knee problems, right? So if they extend it beyond just like a condition and look at it more as a set of complications or comorbidities, I don't know why I cannot say that word today, then it might extend from size and weight to these complications. Really? Okay. So I think that most people, when they're talking about obesity, are viewing it as a condition where you either are or aren't obese, right? Think about the BMI chart, that lovely BMI chart that we all... How many people say they're no longer obese when they reach the normal category? I love that, normal. I think they should rename it, really, but that's a show for another day, okay? Let's talk about the BMI chart another day. Anyway, the point is, many people think that once you no longer weigh a certain amount, you are no longer obese. Problem solved, right? Well, no, not so much. Today, I want to talk to you guys about obesity as a mental and emotional disease, because so often that's overlooked. And isn't that what we talk about around here every day? Isn't that what I'm trying so hard to shine the spotlight on and bring attention to? The aspect of the disease of obesity as it ravages the entire person, not just the physical nature of the person, but also the emotional and the mental. And of course, I always talk about the spiritual as well, how it ravages us because it's insidious. Well, today I'm going to talk specifically about the emotional and the mental aspect. As usual, I'm going to talk about it from my own experiences. So I'm speaking my own experiences and my beliefs and my feelings based upon how my obesity negatively affected my own life, okay? And you may not share these specific experiences, or you may, or you may share the feelings but not the experiences, or you may not share the feelings but may share the experiences. I totally get that. So today's show is very, very much about my specific experience, my beliefs, and then how it colorized my whole entire life for as long as I can remember. I mean, that's the insidious nature of obesity. So I know I'm going to start way far back, but we're not going to live there, I promise. When I was born... Never going to be a good show. It's going to be like a 50-hour program if I talk about when I was born, but I promise I'll go fast. When I was born, I weighed 11 pounds, 6 ounces. Sorry, Mom. All right. I was awarded the distinction of being the biggest baby born that year at the hospital. Whoopee-doo. There's an accomplishment. There's something you want to put on your resume and, use when you're trying to attract a boyfriend. You want to say, well, I was the biggest baby born that year at Balboa Hospital. Really? That's fascinating. Okay. My dad called me Rump and Silk Skin instead of Rumple Silk Skin because, for loving reasons, you guys. He wasn't being hurtful or mean or anything, but that's just what he called me because I had a big rump. Derriere. Now, my brother, diabetic, type 1 diabetic, all right? So he was always skinny and I was always chunky. Hated that, right? Why can't I be skinny? Why can't I be sick like him? That's my mentality, right? I want to be diabetic if it'll make me skinny. Oh my God. But here's the thing. We ate the same things. My mom was really good about this, about managing our dietary intake and our portion control and balancing our meals. And so I always ate the same stuff he did in healthy quantity. And I would argue that a lot of the time I was even more active than he was because he wasn't capable of being more active. But here's the thing. I was taller than all the girls my age. And most of the boys, too. I was taller than most of them, too. I did not fit into the same size clothing. You guys have heard me talk about this, that girls my age wore. And this is very important. I always missed this subtle distinction. My age, right? All I knew was they were all girls because they were my age, and those are the people I hung out with. But it was always a struggle for me to find things to fit my butt. That's just... Man, there were no J-Los in those days. There were no, pants and clothing for curvy girls. There just weren't. And I had this really small waist. So relative to the size of my rear, I had a teeny waist. And so my mom, God love you, Mom, was always taking in my pants so that they would fit right and I'd feel good in my clothing. All right, always. The ratio of waist to butt, yeah, great. So that was the physical aspect of my obesity, all right? And interestingly, I was always in the higher weight bracket, but I wasn't considered obese, at least not by medical standards. Okay, so most of my young life there wasn't obese, but yet that's not how I viewed it because I compared myself to others who didn't weigh what I weighed. So that's the thing. By societal standards, how society viewed me, I was a cow. Okay, that was it. I was a cow, I had a big butt, and I was fat. That's what I lived with. By my own standards, I decided that everything society said was true because I didn't fit the mold, literally or figuratively. Didn't fit the mold. I was a different shape. I was an oddity when I just wanted to fit in and belong and be like everybody else. And I could not keep up with the presidential fitness test that we had to do every year. So I was a certified failure. It's right there on paper, right? I'm an A student when it comes to using my mind, but when it comes to using my body, well, I'm more like a C if I'm lucky, but usually an F. How does that make me feel? Like a failure. All right, so guess what all of that does to a person's mind? Not good things. How about their heart? No better, okay? The disease of obesity very quickly morphs from one of appearances and weights and measures and charts and graphs to one of not belonging, not fitting in, not being capable, and not being taken seriously. People laugh at you, right? So the disease of obesity then completely consumed me, body and soul, and I was tormented every single day in seemingly innocuous, harmless ways. Every day I was tormented. And you know, here's the thing. Not a day goes by, even now in my new life of recovery, that I don't remember the traumatic days of my active obesity, okay? Mostly because it was misunderstood. You know, I just didn't know better. And these moments, these memories will come back at me and I'll remember. And it's very sad because I realized, wow, that colorized my whole world. I couldn't see anything but for my obesity. You know, I couldn't really, I didn't live fully because I was just so focused on my disease, all right? So let me give you some examples of how it is that this comes to my attention now and I'll remember it and how it affected me when I was younger, all right? This weekend we went to the zoo. We went to the Los Angeles Zoo with my in-laws and it was a really wonderful time. And we got to see the elephants. Love the elephants, right? I remembered that I had actually ridden an elephant at the LA Zoo with my boyfriend when I was 16 and a half. Okay, it's a long time ago, but still, not so long ago that I shouldn't remember. But the funny thing is I didn't remember until someone reminded me like maybe a year ago. It's really crazy. I had no memory of an event in my life that would seem to be pretty significant. Being able to ride an elephant, that's pretty cool. But here's the thing, to this day, I cannot tell you what it felt like to ride on an elephant, to be on the back of this massive creature. I cannot tell you what that felt like to me, the physical part of how does it feel to ride an elephant. All I can remember is I was wearing shorts and I was mortified because my thighs were going to spread and they were going to look really fat when I straddled the elephant. That's my memory of riding an elephant. Fat thighs? Really? I was mortified. At one point, it occurred, I questioned whether the elephant would be able to hold my weight. That's distorted thinking, you guys. Distortion, right? But that colorized that event in my life. It traumatized and tormented me, obesity. So here's another one. The other day, kid you not, I had a flash of the changing room at Zodi's. Zodi's was like a Target when I was growing up, all right? And that's where I would go to try on clothes that didn't fit. That's usually what would happen. And I always felt fat when I was in there. And I was always disappointed and I was dejected and I was embarrassed to see myself in the mirror. And I didn't want to come out and show my mom how I looked because I looked disgusting. That's what I decided. I did not want to walk out because then everybody would see me. So I couldn't just hide in pain in that try-on room. And mostly I remember trying on bathing suits. And I can remember a lot of my bathing suits, but not for the reason you would think. You know, a lot of people that would wear bathing suits would just remember how cute they looked or how fun they were or how many compliments they got or whatever. Not me. I might be able to tell you the color, okay? I can tell you the style and everything, but mostly what I remember about it is how fat I felt in them and how I was constantly trying to cover myself up, right? Cover the bathing suit, cover the body. Okay. Tormented. Yeah, that would be the definition of torment. Senior year swim party at Leanna's house, okay? She had a pool, so we're all going to go over there, but what? I wore a dress. I remember the dress. It was a white dress with ruffles off the shoulder. Looked real pretty, right? Showed up late and said I didn't really want to swim because I was fighting a cold. So I didn't want to get in a bathing suit. Didn't want anybody to see me. Junior year church retreat, Bishop. I'm going to jump 40 feet off a cliff. I'm standing up on a cliff. It's really fun. This is what everybody's going to do. Don't walk. There was water under there. I wasn't just jumping to my death. There's water under there. I'm going to do it because I'm a risk taker. Yay, I love the adrenaline rush, right? All I can think about as I'm standing in my red and white striped bathing suit, which was very slimming, by the way, was how everybody is looking at me and thinking, she is so fat. Can you imagine the splash she's going to make at the bottom? And I was so concerned about that, I forgot to tuck my arms in, and I held them out sideways like this when I hit the water almost kind of face first, because I was more worried about how I looked. Trauma. Torment. You think? Just a little? Yeah, that's what I remember about jumping off a cliff. 7th grade church summer camp. A lot of camping, a lot of church. Okay. I get to try water skiing, except the boat wasn't a ski boat. It was more like a fishing boat, which I didn't understand at the time, okay? It wasn't powerful enough to pull me up out of the water. And I was dragged along face first, all the water going up my nose and in my mouth until I let go of that rope. So it's dragging me along face first. And they couldn't come back around to get me because I couldn't climb up into the boat, and I would not let them pull me into the boat because I was too fat. This is what I was convinced of. And guess what? I weighed anywhere from 110 to 150 pounds during this time that I'm talking to you. 110 to 150 pounds. And that was my self-image. That was how the disease of obesity tormented my mind and hurt my heart. Because certainly the disease of obesity was not ravaging me physically yet. The disease of obesity I was infected by that disease and affected, even though it hadn't truly manifested itself on me yet and wouldn't until I was in my early 20s. Okay? That's how this disease worked for me and works for a lot of us. The experiences should have been joyful, should have been great memories, but they were traumatic. I ranged anywhere from like 5'3", other girls were usually about 5 feet when I was that age, to about 5', 6.5. I was anything but a heifer, anything but truly, obese? At least not in reality, not on the outside. I was certainly obese on the inside, but not on the outside. I was tormented. Those are adjectives that ran over and over and over in my head all the time. Don't touch me because you're going to be grossed out because my shoulders and my arms are flabby. They're chunky. Oh gosh, you're going to be disgusted. So don't give me a back rub or a shoulder rub, right? Ew, you're not going to want to touch me. Don't take a picture of me from the back while I'm sunbathing on the deck of the boat in Catalina, and then threaten to show the boy that I liked. Don't do that because that hurts, all right? There was never a photo of me that I liked where I didn't feel self-conscious. Okay, scratch that. There were like 2. And they were both taken by my dad, and they were both on the front porch at our house. I was sitting on the bricks in the front porch holding teddy bear in front of me, conveniently, because I was all about Care Bear. It was all about bears. And I loved how my dad photographed me. And the reason I let him do this, by the way, was because wait for it, I had been homesick from school and hadn't been able to eat for several days, so I was feeling skinny. I had lost enough weight being sick that you could now photograph me and I'd feel thin when I put. That is just sick. That's torment. That is sickness. And that is the insidious nature of the disease of obesity, you guys. Every party, every event, every day was infected by the torment of obesity. And I thought it was what was on the outside, but I now see it what was on the inside. I was more concerned with what was on the outside, but in reality, the disease was wreaking havoc with me on the inside, in my head, and in my heart. And it was eating me up. No wonder I had to feed it. No wonder I had to feed the pain to try and make it go away. I didn't know what else to do. I wish I had understood the disease of obesity better when I was younger. Rather than thinking it was just how I looked or what I weighed, I really wish I'd understood then how the disease manifests, how it works inside us to make us so very sick. Because it would have saved me a lot of years of heartache, I guarantee it. But this is where I find some peace. We are the substance of our experiences, and recovery is the substance of learning from my experiences. okay? So my sickness manifests itself in many of my experiences and my memories of those experiences. And that is the substance of who I became as a person as I developed. But my recovery is a result of learning from those experiences that I had so that I don't have to relive them ever again. So the point of sharing this with you guys is not, I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to be like focused on, oh my God, poor you. Oh, that's tragic, tragic. No, that is not where I'm going. That's not what I'm about, okay? And it's not because I think you necessarily share the same experiences. I don't know. I just hope that you will begin to see that if you are dealing with the diseases of obesity or addiction, you need to address much more than just the physical aspects. Okay? Surgery, a lot of you have come here as a result of bariatric surgery, either preparing for or having had. Okay? That is addressing the physical aspect of this disease. But as you quickly learn, there is so much more to it because that surgery doesn't touch the head and it doesn't touch the heart. All right? We got to address the whole person if we want to kick this disease to the curb. And that's where important things like therapy, okay? Get with a therapist if you need therapy. A lot of us have been traumatized. We've been through traumatic, abuse, right? So we need to make sure that we are seeing a therapist to work through this stuff. Maybe we need medication for anxiety or depression or OCD or things that are above and beyond what it is that we are able to manage through healthy behaviors, okay? We might need to explore that. It doesn't make us bad people if we need that stuff. Regular attendance at support group meetings. Now you understand how critical this is, you see, because what brings us together might be this belief that we're all there because of what we weighed, but we quickly learn that we're all there because of what we lived, okay? Work with your PCP and your dietitian. Don't run away. They're not the enemy. If you don't like the relationship you have with your PCP, get a new one. But be a part of working with that healthcare team because they truly do. People get into the healthcare business because they want to help people, not because they want to criticize people. Okay, granted, we've all encountered a few that we can't figure out why they're part of the healthcare community, but by and large, the people that I have had the pleasure of working with genuinely want to help people to live quality lives and to recover from these diseases, live in recovery from the diseases of obesity. So very, very important. All of these things I'm talking about here, neither optional nor mandatory. So you know what you got to do, all right? You got to treat the whole person. Very, very important. And a big part of that, treating the whole person, is realizing the ways in which you're affected. That's what we talk about on this show every day. Ways that you never even imagined you were affected, not being willing to accept certain things and realities, living in denial, not choosing reality, lying to ourselves, okay? In my case, the ways in which I was infected, tormented, traumatized, and scarred, but definitely not beaten. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today as we wrap it up. I'm going to take a few minutes to read what you guys were writing down there, and thank you very much for, listening to my story. Because I hope that in my sharing it with you, again, you're not going to have pity for me. You're instead going to have courage to face your own disease as more than just a physical problem, okay? So let me take a look at this, see what you guys have to say. Wow, looks like you guys, okay, all right then, here we go. And Facebook is letting me scroll through, I love that. The chart, Christy, I know that, yeah. You know what? We view it like a test or something and that we're failing a test. It judges us. We allow it to define us. I used to, the eye chart, right? It's an eye chart, not an eye test, but I always said I failed the eye test because I was blind. Like I had anything to do with that. It's ridiculous, but that's my mentality, right? Is I've got to succeed. I've got to be perfect. I've got to get an A. Well, I can't possibly get an A on an I test because the first letter on the I chart's an E, which means excellent. If I can read that, shouldn't that be enough? I don't know. All right. All right. So let's see. Again, Christy, I'm 26 pounds from the doctor's goal and still classified as obese. Well, guess what? I'm still classified as obese too, because obesity is a disease. And as I was talking about today, it's more than just a physical disease. It is an emotional and mental disease as well. And none of that is going to appear on the scale or on your doctor's chart. So even though I may be in a quote normal weight range, I still have obesity. I am choosing to treat that obesity so I can live in recovery from it, but I will always have obesity, okay? As you know, as I love to say, it doesn't have me, but really, I think we need to change the way we're looking at this disease, change the way we're looking at doctors' goals, because the doctor is focused on what he can measure. He can't measure your emotions, and he can't measure your mind and how you feel about yourself. He's measuring the only thing he can measure, and that's what do you weigh? How tall are you? What are your measurements? What's your percentage of fat relative to your, percentage of muscle? And right? That's what they measure. They can't measure your emotions, and they can't measure the mental part. And so we can still be very, very, very sick from our obesity, even if all of their charts show that we are in the normal range. Okay, so I would encourage you to look at that differently. Hey, Marcus, so glad you made it here. Did you read what I wrote about dreams on my wall? I hope that you will. Let's see here. All right, are you guys, I hope you guys are all here. Otherwise I've been talking to myself. Okay, I so relate, yes. Okay, so you were here. Messes up your head, big time. But here, look, I'm here to help you clean it up, okay? I'm helping you clean up your head and your heart. Isn't that good? Isn't that a nice way to spend your afternoon? All right, let's see here. Looks like Mama had to dive out for a bit. And while I was talking about her, yep, Mom, you're going to have to go back and watch it. Hi, Diana. So glad that you are here. And scrolling through, you are here. I miss you, girl. How you doing? You're not popping into my newsfeed as often anymore. And Joni, you too, to a T. Yeah, okay, so my experiences and my feelings and beliefs about myself and how they colorized my experiences, you guys are finding that was very similar for you. Yeah, welcome to the disease of obesity. It's very profound, isn't it? And very insidious. I use that word because nefarious, insidious, toxic, tormenting. I just keep coming back to that obsession, that being consumed by, every fiber all the way out to my fingernails, was infected by and tormented by obesity. It's crazy. All right. I hate being addicted to food. Thanks for all the help. Hey, you know what? That's one of those things that the more we work together, Margie, the more we will realize that is one of those things that we have to accept, but we don't have to accept the fact that we can't get help for it, okay? That's what this show is all about. We just have to accept the fact that, hey, I have a disease I need to treat. I have a condition I got to face. I need to get help for it. What's on me? My responsibility is to do something about it, and you have the power to do it. All you got to do is accept the fact that it is something that you're going to need to treat for the rest of your life. It doesn't diminish you as a person. It doesn't make you less than. If anything, to me, I think it makes us fortunate because at least there is hope for us. There is a path that we can travel. There are programs out there that we can follow and get help for. And I would rather have that any day of the week than to have a condition or a disease for which there was no cure, and no relief. That would just be horrible, I think. So I'm kind of grateful for my obesity. I know it sounds weird. Let's see, with many of us feeling this way when we were young, this is Joni. Joni says this. Is there an outreach to young women to help them avoid feeling this way? I know things are moving to be more accepting of fat, but there's a long way to go. I think that when we focus on fat and then say, well, we're going to accept you because you're fat, does anybody ever say we're going to accept you because you're thin? I think we've got to remove it from that realm, certainly. I love the idea of self-acceptance, accepting ourselves as being human, and having things that we need to work on, but celebrating the fact that we are very much unique and different, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I know when we're teens, we just want to be like everybody else, and we never will be. No one will ever be like you. And we soon learn that as we become more comfortable in our skin. For some of us, it takes a lot longer, like maybe almost 50 years. But I agree with you, Joni. I think things are moving in a very positive, very encouraging direction. And I think maybe the next step is to stop being fat accepting and start being person accepting, because like I said, we don't struggle to accept, skinny or blonde or right? Why do we struggle to accept gray hair? I certainly don't struggle to accept red hair. I'm embracing that. But the point is, see what I mean? Maybe we need to shift the way in which we are even characterizing it, discussing it, or thinking about it, or feeling about it. All right. You can so relate, Kelly. Yes, I'm glad. You jumped off, Jerry says, I jumped off a bridge into a river We'll have to share that. Yeah, you and I are so much alike. We're like kindred spirits, I swear. Leave the F word out of it. Amen, sister. It is an F word. All right. And Shay, so glad you made it in here right on the tail end of the program, but don't you worry. The archived version is very much available on demand. I do encourage you guys to share this. I saw some more sharing going on from yesterday's show. And I think that is why I'm getting to see so many new faces here, because you guys had the courage to share it, right? Just because you're getting something out of it, don't sit on it and be selfish with it and just take it all in, because recovery is a gift. We have to share it with others. We have to give that gift of hope and healing and recovery to others. So that's why I do this show, and that's why I encourage you guys to share this gift with others. Now, before I sign off, I will not be here tomorrow. I am going to be having a procedure done that for my gastric bypass endoscopy. And I'll share a little more detail about it, but I'm just putting you on notice right now, because in case you're going to be watching for me to, I don't know, check in from the surgical center, take a selfie of me in bed, you know, getting ready to be wheeled in, posting about being on happy juice, you know, and hoping everything goes well. It's not going to happen. I will not be doing that tomorrow. So you're just going to have to imagine, you know, I guess. Actually, I just hope you're thinking about other things besides me, okay? I hope you're thinking about you, and then thinking about other people that you can make a difference. Other people in whose lives you can make a difference. Wow, I love English. All right, so you will not see me tomorrow, but I will be back front and center on Thursday, and I'm sure I'm going to have all kinds of glorious things to talk to you about, because I'll have all day tomorrow to just think about it. All right? So thank you guys as ever for being here. I am going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live your recovery. The recovery for the whole person, by the way. Your physical, your emotional, and your mental selves. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I will see you guys in 2 days. Take care. Bye.